campaign is transparency and engagement and accountability. And we can all come together as residents together in our community and talk about issues, talk about concerns, and then talk about resolutions. And that's what we're going to do here tonight, is hear from everybody, hear questions, hear answers, and hopefully solutions where we can all come to an understanding where we have every bit of information. I don't know all the answers yet, and I'm here to learn just like you are, and so that's what this process is about. And that's something that I talked about during the campaign. So I want to applaud you all for coming out tonight on a Monday evening, spending time out here when I know you all have more important things to do. So thank you for taking time out of your schedules to listen and learn and be engaged. Because as I talked about, we can't do our jobs if we don't know what you all are concerned about, what you all are talking about. So when we have more information, we're able to do our jobs better. So thank you for being out here.
Thank you. That's good. So as I said, the project is proposed. I just want to get that clear. There's nothing that's in concrete yet. And so I want to bring up the owner of Volcan Core. His name is Mark. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name. I think I can't pronounce your last name. He doesn't even look old enough to be doing a project like this. But anyway, I want to introduce him. Mark, could you come on up, please? And he's going to talk to you about the project and answer your question. Well, he's going to just give you more information on the project so that you understand it fully, straight from the horse's mouth, as we say.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Bunsev. I'm one of the owners of Volcan Core LLC. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come out here on this Monday, come meet with us. And secondarily, I do want to thank Petra Hawkins for the introduction. We do have a lot of our team members here. So we do have myself, we have Mitch Brown, who is our project manager. We have Kyle Kingma, who's part of the Planning and Zoning Committee. But wanted to take this opportunity to hear from you guys, to take as much of a proactive approach as possible, just to give you some insight from who we are, what we do, and how we want to work with you. So this Tyler Data Center, we understand that there is some negative stigma associated with things, and because of that, we wanted to address it directly as possible with you. My background, it's engineering with focus in thermodynamics, and I've got a couple of other locations throughout the US, in Buffalo, New York, in Florida, in North Carolina. But as being one of the owners, I'm the guy that wants to build, and I want to build properly. So these are one of those types of projects that if you build it correctly the first time, there's not too much associated with it. And you may ask the question as to why Tyler, Texas, why here? So my family came to the US when I was 2 years old with $4,000 in their pocket and a 2-year-old me. Father worked at a gas station, mother was a hairdresser. I watched my parents raise me in a way where they were working 12, 14, 16-hour days, and I gained so much insight from them as to, what is the American dream, how to build here. Right now, parents, bless their hearts, business owners, and very respected in the community as well. And for me, as soon as graduating university, first job was a field engineer. And I came to Texas when I was 21 years old. And man, this place just stands out. Something about it, the people, the food. Y'all got some stuff with spiders and snakes that I'm not totally cool with, but outside of that, this place is awesome. In Texas, what I found relative to other parts of the US, everyone here is very motivated to build. They're very progressive thinking in the fact of the opportunity is there. Let's build this American dream together. Everything is bigger in Texas, but everything is also just better in Texas based on my experience. I want to be a part of it, and I want to learn from you guys as to how you'll let me and us be a part of it as well. That being said, one of the very first steps that we took was to take on Mitch here, born and raised in Tyler, Texas. We want to utilize the local community as much as possible. We want to teach those that are in the area as well. And there's so much opportunity for the future. And you think to yourself, okay, I have kids, I have ideas for them, but how do they learn about it? And the way to do that is through regulated and proper experience, and that's what we're hoping to give you. So with that said, I want to introduce here Mitch to give some insights as to the ins and outs of construction, what we've done so far, and what it is that we're looking to do. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. We appreciate it. My name is Mitch Brown. I'm the agent of record, local coordinator, so I'm helping Mark with all of the process that we're going through now with the special use permit with the city, the community engagements, hoping to do the construction once we get approved. My background is construction here in Tyler, born and raised. Really excited about this. We feel like it's the way of the future. It's got a lot. It's just got a lot of positives for building the future. One of the first questions that always comes up when we have meetings like this is why this location, why here? And there's two simple reasons for it. The first one is it's the distance to the substation next door. It's got to have power, and so you've got to have that closeness to the substation. The second one is zoning. And so not only do you have to find a substation that has excess power where you can, work, but you've also got to be in the right zone. And so light industrial zone is the zone we're in. So it fit both of those categories. The data centers that you guys are seeing on TV is different, from the data centers we're doing here today. And the example I like to use to go over that or kind of explain it or visualize it is a gas station. When you think of a gas station, you might think of a big truck stop or a Buc-ee's. You also might think of a community corner store, a community gas station. And so we're not trying to bring in the big truck stop to this neighborhood or the big Buc-ee's. It's a community store. It's a small data center compared to the bigger ones that you see on TV. And so we've designed it or engineered it from the ground up to be exactly what it is, to fit in this location and to blend in, with the neighborhood. Some of the other common misconceptions, that happen are you hear about water. These data centers are using a bunch of water and draining aquifers and things like that. The systems we're using are closed loop systems. They're filled with distilled water and antifreeze, and that's how the systems are cooled. So there's no city water, no municipal water coming in or out of the system. It's all enclosed in a closed loop. The second one is the electricity, and it's, will this cause our utility bills to go up? The answer to that is no. The operator has paid for all of the construction costs to get the power to the site out of pocket. So there are no tax abatements. There are no extra costs for the city or the Oncor people to build the substation. It's already all done. They've paid for the process themselves, and therefore no price increases are coming from the electrical. There's no, on the emissions, there's no emissions, there's no hazardous materials, there's no drainage, there's no smoke, there's no dust. None of those things are part of this process. So once it's all set up and done, everything's in place and operates smoothly. Noise is the last one that we want to cover, and we've hired a acoustical engineer out of Houston, Huber and Keith, to do an acoustic sound study for us. They've determined, based on that study, that the ambient noise in the neighborhood is around 45 decibels, and our equipment, when it's running at full speed, is running at 35 decibels, 10 below that. So the sound from this facility is going to blend into the normal sounds that are already heard in the neighborhood at night. And Mark? Okay, hold on. Yeah, we'll get to questions in just a second. So we'll have a section for Q&A, and we'll also have the opportunity to have a suggestion box, and as well as that, more than happy to give out contact information to answer anything that may come up later. One last thing that I wanted to just address here, in regards to the noise, we threw out some numbers, 45 decibels, 30 decibels. What does that mean exactly? So 40 decibels is roughly the noise of about a library. So with the study that we've done, we're finding that, you know, those in the surrounding area, the machines themselves, they're going to be operating at a level quieter than that. One last thing that I really did want to emphasize is just based on my personal experience. So where I've been extremely thankful of this opportunity and extremely successful is hired a lot of interns over the years. Favorite one, I don't know if I should say favorite, but he's doing quite well. His name's Brady. He's just turned 21. He's been working with me for about 3 years. He told me at one point, Mark, I would never have an opportunity like this to learn about networking, to learn about electrical engineering, to learn about you know, hands-on work. You hear a lot of these things through university as to this is how electrical engineering works, this is how network engineering works, this is how business works. Well, I could talk about these data center operations day in and day out, 24/7, 365, and go into as much or as little detail as you'd like. But what I do want to profess is this does give the opportunity for the younger generation to learn about things in a hands-on, practical way instead of theory. And that's something that's extremely unique. If you think about the future and you want your kids to learn about opportunities such as this, how do you do it without hands-on experience? This allows for that to happen. That's, you know, various universities around here, various trade schools. It's something unique. So, like I said, just want to emphasize that last point. I believe our plan now is. I'll leave you to hear as to what's happening next.
Awesome. So what we're going to do now is, first of all, thank y'all again for coming. I am Laura Jackson. I have a huge passion for local government, and this is what it's all about right here today. And so I just want to say again, appreciate everybody coming out, showing such an interest in your community. I did hear a question, Mark, about folks are asking, what does this do? Like, what does the data center do? While you're answering that question, Leah and Ginger are going to be passing out some note cards. For those of you who also have questions, go ahead and write that question down, and we'll collect them back up, and we will ask those of Mark and of Mitch, both the owner and community touch point for the data center, as well as our builders. So Mark, while they're writing down their questions, can you explain, try not to be too much of an engineer for us, but explain in layman's terms what this center is going to do.
Hello. Yeah, absolutely. So what does data processing exactly mean? So you hear about these things like ChatGPT, like Anthropic, Claude, all of that. For us, data processing is just the ability to interpret data in a very quick fashion. So for example, Bitcoin mining. So with Bitcoin mining as an example, think of it this way, that whenever you send money to anyone utilizing a credit card or a debit card, there's a fee associated with it. It's a 2.5%, 3.5%, whatever it is. It's not a guy at a bank that's sitting and putting money out of one drawer and into another drawer. It's a computer that's securing the transaction, that's confirming that point A is giving all accurate information and point B is giving all accurate information. And there's a fee associated with that. And in essence, that's what data processing means.
All right. And just to build a little bit on what Mark was saying earlier, in addition to reaching out and working with Tyler ISD and TJC and UT Tyler for internships, also there are going to be opportunities for tours. And so that is going to extend the availability of learning about an industry like this to more people. So it looks like we do have some cards here. And the first one, why, yes, ma'am, we've got your questions. And so we will, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
What if my question is larger than the card and there's some other questions that I
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. They're gonna hang out. Everybody's gonna hang out until all the questions are answered. And we can certainly have, work on having some conversations as well. So, another question that came up is, why this location? Why not elsewhere, such as in the desert?
That's a very good question. Why here? Why not, somewhere in the desert or out in the boonies? So there's a couple of reasons. Main one is that it is most beneficial mutually for our location to be found next to a substation. Substations serve as distribution points for these large amounts of electricity. That being said, the electricity that we're drawing, it's not at the residential voltage of 208 volts. It's at 12,500 volts. And the infrastructure that was placed into there was paid out of pocket by us. Further, there is the point for locations that are based out in the desert. There is some building that is associated with this, and the ones that are located out in the desert, they don't adhere to any kind of guidelines, rules, or regulations. They can do whatever the heck they want. For us here, we want to be held accountable for what it is that we do. We want to build things properly. The ones out in the desert, you can build a shack that will fall over in 6 months, and whatever damage that causes is whatever damage that causes. No, for us, we're taking accountability. We're doing the acoustic studies. We're doing the studies on electricity, how it affects the local grid as well. And for that reason is why we're doing it here as opposed to out in the desert.
All right. So that is, I do have that question. I'm glad. So what studies, and Mitch, I think that you would be, we'll pitch this one to you. So when we talk about the studies for sound, water, emissions, power, what kind of studies are those? How do you know those answers as the builder? Tell us a little bit about that.
So we hired an acoustic firm out of Houston, Hoover and Key. And the first thing they wanted to do was come to the neighborhood with their equipment and measure the sound that was already happening in the neighborhood. And so they put their equipment out, left it for 48 hours, came up with a decibel level based on that study, and it came in at 45 decibels, which is fairly quiet. If you were to go outside here right now and had a decibel meter, it would probably be 50, 55, 60 maybe, just on normal ambient noise. And so once he gathers that information, what he wants to do is figure out what the sound level is going to be from the equipment and whether or not there's going to be a high tone or a high pitch or a broadband sound, how loud it's going to be, how far is it going to travel, all those types of things. And so what the conclusion of the study was that at the nearest receptor, which would be a house, a resident, 230 feet away, the decibel level is 35, which is 10 decibels lower than the ambient sound in the neighborhood. And what that means basically is that at the nearest house, they won't hear these fans going. And the fans that make the sound are like an air conditioning fan on your AC unit. It's just a broadband fan. It's used to cool, kind of like a radiator on a car. So because it's a closed loop system with water and radiator fluid, it cools that way, and you've got those types of fans. They just don't put out a lot of noise.
So talk a little bit about that, about the technology behind that and all the different ways, because, there may be other people who've lived by other data centers that say they are loud. Is that,
yeah,
talk about that.
So some of the other ways, some of the other data centers that you may have seen on TV may use older computers that have 2 to 4 fans on the back of each computer, and there may be 2,000 or 5,000, however many computers some big data center has. Well, these computer fans run at a higher RPM, like 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000 RPMs, and they create a really high tonal pitch. These fans are designed specifically for this type of application, for this type of area, and they're more broadband. They spin at around 980 revolutions per minute at the highest speed they can go, and they just don't make that much sound. The other important part of this is the fans are variable speed fans, so when the temperature goes down, the fan speed goes down. When they don't need to be, they may not even be on in the winter, or they may be running at 10% during the winter, in the spring, fall, at night. The numbers that we have in the back, which I'm happy to talk about if anybody wants to meet back here. I lost my train of thought, but the sound is basically below the ambient noise in the neighborhood.
All right. And so, Mark, this one's going to be for you. How many jobs will this facility create, and how many internships?
So that one there is a very good question. So on the initial onset of the project, there's quite a bit of construction jobs that go into it. That being said, I understand that one of the concerns is, that there may not be many jobs in the future. I want to address that one directly. So our goal here is to have 7 to 10 full-time jobs, and to have at least 1 to 2 people there 24/7, 365. And that's through a combination of electricity consultants, of technicians, of security, and of interns. So this operation, it needs to be securely maintained and very closely watched. And because of that, we want to have the employees there, but secondarily also have the operations that we agreed to do within our application, and that being putting decibel meters around the location to be able to audit what it is that we say over the course of the year. But also, we want to be transparent and an open book. We want to have the community be able to reach out at any point in time should they have any questions, should they want to check it out, should they want to talk about a specific topic. I'm more than happy to have the conversation.
All right, so we have a lot of cards that have come in about electricity. So if y'all can, please talk about, at this time, we deal with Oncor, ERCOT, and the Texas grid. We've heard that it's not dependable. So how can you say you will protect this Tyler neighborhood? So that's part one. Part two, how much excess capacity does the electrical substation have? Is there any chance of maxing out the electrical capacity? So talk a little bit about electricity with those questions.
Sure. So this is a faceted question, so I'll try to go through them the best I can. So in regards to the substation themselves, prior to any kind of construction that was completed by Oncor, we had to do what's called a load study. And a load study is about a 90 to 100-day process, or 90 to 120-day process, where Oncor takes a look at the load profile of the surrounding infrastructure and determines how much excess capacity that there is. We had to go through that, phase 0, we'll call it. There was in excess of 12 megawatts, which is our foreseen scope, that was there. So we haven't taken anything away from anyone. It was there, and from my understanding, Oncor may correct me on this one, but they were planning on building additional infrastructure within the substation itself to expand the capacity further, but didn't have the off-takers for them anyways at this point in time. In regards to these terms that you hear, Oncor, ERCOT, so think of your electricity bill as 2 different parts. One is the delivery and one is the supply. So the delivery is handled by Oncor. That's the money that's paid for delivering the infrastructure from the point of generation until the point of utilization. So maintenance of all the electricity lines, the substation, the transformers, the switchgear, things like that. The delivery, it's essentially a large combination of different generation assets throughout in Texas, throughout ERCOT. For us here, we're located in North Load Zone. So North Load Zone, there's so many different types of power generation that's associated with it. There's wind, there's nuclear, there's solar, there's natural gas, a handful of others. And that part of your bill is the supply, where it's a mix of everything that is being generated. That being said, only the way that a electricity grid works is this: only as much electricity is generated as is being consumed. So what that means is throughout the course of the day, that sort of fluctuates. More people use power during the middle of the day, less people use power at night. What we do is sort of even it out almost in a way. And what that does is allows for these generation assets to work at their most efficient level. If you think about a nuclear generation facility, you don't want to be generating this much and then this much and then this much, but to sort of have a flat line curve to be as efficient as possible.
All right. We're going to give Mark a little break. Mitch, I'm going to pitch this one to you. This is about city government. So we have a couple of city council people here. We've got our mayor-elect here. And so why should the city of Tyler pay any cost that arises due to this facility? Part one. So talk a little bit about any costs to the city. So think about public safety. Are we going to have to increase security? Think about fire department. And then how can we enhance or revitalize? Will any of this enhance or revitalize this effort? So a little bit about taxes generated, taxes spent, and public funds on this facility.
So there will be no cost to the city. We haven't asked for anything. We haven't asked for any tax abatements. We haven't asked for any special sound allowances. We just want to come in as a regular business and operate. So we haven't asked for anything along those lines. Once it's up and running, there's going to be 1 to 2 people there, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We don't anticipate any increased demand on city utilities, city emergency personnel. It's just going to be a real smooth operating facility, so we shouldn't see any of that. Yep, so I guess that answers that question. There's nothing really that the city will have to do for us. We're just going to come as a regular business.
Just to build on that a little bit further, one of the points that I made earlier was why we don't build this out in the desert. And with that, there are guidelines or rules that we need to follow. So prior to any kind of energization or construction, all of our electrical designs are double checked by the city planners. The city planners, they check our site plans, our lines, everything that can be involved. Furthermore, with things like insurance, then there's proper fire safety systems that need to be put into place. So this isn't, we need to build this properly, not only aesthetically, but properly in every sense of the word.
One other quick thing about the city is everything that we're saying here tonight has been submitted in the application. It's on record, and we fully expect to be held accountable by the city for everything that we're saying. So everything we're discussing tonight, everything we've got back here, everything in our application is written down and turned in. So the city will have that.
And I apologize. I was going through a few cards. I'm not sure if I missed it. But I know you talked about no additional cost to the city. Talk a little bit about the revenue generated by a project like this.
So Mark, that might be a better one for you on the electric. Tax revenue.
Oh, in terms of tax revenue. So it being within city limits, we're subject to sales tax, not only by the state, but also by the county and by the city. And I believe that the math works out to be, Mitch, may have to correct me on this one, but somewhere between $35,000 and $45,000 a month that ends up being paid in taxes.
Yeah, I think the yearly total just on the electric would be, around 500,000 roughly per year in taxes, in which the city would get a percentage of that, the state would get a percent of it, the county would get a percent of it, and then flows through the schools and hopefully to the neighborhoods. Once it's turned in, once it's collected, we don't really have any control over what's done with it, but there will be funds collected based on the business that's going to be going on at this location.
All right. So this is a card that says, I am concerned about the safety of our city. Are these data centers safe?
So I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that. So these data centers, they're walled off, right? They're not accessible to the public. In terms of what I was saying before, it needs to be built properly the first time, and that is overwatched by city planning and zoning. It needs to be approved not only through them, but also through Encore. This isn't our first rodeo. We've built a couple of other facilities, and this may come off as a good thing, but we've learned a lot of lessons through the process. We're not here to learn anymore. We put together all the resources and the knowledge base to hire the professionals and brilliant people of Tyler, Texas to help us build this properly.
So in relation to emissions, to anything like that, I don't know that they were talking about safety as far as like security, but safety as far as health and safety. So talk a little bit about that.
Yep. So all of this is closed loop system. So in terms of emissions, we at no point ever plan on generating any kind of emissions through generators or anything of the sort. All of the power is, taken from the grid. And in regards to, there are no network emissions or anything of that sort either. The internet is the internet that we all use, and even that, we get it in through a fiber line, and then it's all done through cables. There is no 5G or even Starlink utilization, anything of the sort. It's all through hard connections.
So Mark, talk a little bit about the closed loop system, and is there a cooling system which is not a closed loop? Mitch, is there a second cooling system which is not a closed loop?
No, it's a closed loop system. It's the way it works. Basically, water flows through the lines, run into the computers. They run through the computers, cool them down, and the water gets recirculated back through. So there's no emissions, there's no dust, there's no hazardous material. The site will basically consist of 8 containers. 4 of them are holding computers and 4 of them are holding the cooling equipment. And again, due to the closed loop system, there's no emissions, no water, nothing's dripped out, nothing's taken in or out. It operates basically like a car radiator, if you can visualize that. So there's zero emissions. One other point is there's also no manufacturing, no trucks, no traffic. There's no additional wear and tear on the streets or the neighborhood or other noises that you might find in other industrial areas. So once it's set up, it's I kind of look at it kind of like the substation next door. You'll have the containers there, the computers will be running. That's really all you'll see, all you'll hear. No other hazardous materials. It'll all be fenced in. We're going to keep the site looking professional, like the signs here. So we're going to try to follow Tyler tomorrow and make sure all the landscaping and the way the building looks is maintained as you see it up here.
And so, Mitch, what does a meeting like this do for your company? Has this facility, as the person who was responsible for the special use permit, has this facility already been decided and we're being given information of what will come? Or is this decision still on the table? Can you talk a little bit about the process?
Say that again.
Is this meeting, are we being given information of what will come, or is this decision still on the table?
Well, this is what's planned, and we're going through the process to to get approval with the city under the special use.
Right, yeah, talk about the process. This isn't happening. You're still going through the process.
Yeah, so nothing is finalized, nothing has been signed off on. This is part of the process that we're here today to learn from you guys, to hear what your concerns are, to answer all your questions. We'll have a planning and zoning meeting on July 7th, which will be another part of the process. And then we also will have a city commissioners meeting at the later part of July. So this is all part of the process, all part of what we're happy to do. We feel like this is different from a lot of the things everyone's seeing on TV, and we want to have the opportunity to give you the information for you to see it, to ask questions, to feel comfortable about it. And that's what we're here to do between now and, the next meetings that we have is to gather information and try to do the best we can to make it fit for everybody.
And so I think I saw this person who was here and they left. I don't still see them in the audience, but it says, I am a preschooler. What does a data center do for me? I wish that he was still here. I saw him earlier. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw a little child who just left a while ago. All right. So if you are a preschooler, no matter what your age, if you're a preschooler, what does it do for you?
I'll take that one. As I mentioned before, we think about the future and what it involves, right? The future, it's unpredictable, but it does appear to be that it is heading in the direction of more and more and more. And what we want to do here is give the opportunity for those that are growing up to learn about this process hands-on. We don't want to leave anybody out and be taken over by other parts of the state or other countries.
So will this you
More what?
More what? More what?
There's always going to be continual growth in any kind of computing, in any kind of processing, in any kind of things that involve engineering, right? In terms of electrical, in terms of network, in terms of software, in terms of data development, right?
But you've already said that you're not going to learn anymore. You said that. We're done learning. You said that out of your mouth.
So the done learning is, I don't want to learn expensive mistakes. I want to hire those that are knowledgeable in the space, utilize what I've learned in the past, and make sure that those mistakes don't happen. This is all a journey, and with that, want to do that journey together with everyone. That's why we're here. That's why we're learning from you.
So so far y'all have talked about the data center, and everything seems simple, but nothing is so simple as it seems. Would there be no negative side effects?
So I really want to believe that the world is black and white and that everything will go my way. That is never the case. There's things that happen through the process, but I want to believe that we have the resources and the people in place to handle any issues that do come up. That being said, I love talking about this stuff. I love the engineering. I love the building. Y'all are more than welcome to join me through the process. It is always a team effort. Whatever you guys want to be involved in from beginning to end, we want to be as open a book as possible. And if you have suggestions through the way, if you want to learn more through the way,
So I have one question left. There are a lot more questions over there, but they all sort of fall into the same buckets. And so what we're gonna
Law enforcement as a result of the data center being in a historically black and brown neighborhood in Tyler, Texas, will there be increased law enforcement?
will there be increased law? Okay. I apologize. I thought we talked about security.
You sure didn't.
Okay.
You said there would be more security, and what I'm hearing is that there's an opportunity to bring more law enforcement into a neighborhood that already historically is disenfranchised here in Tyler, Texas. Another question I ask is, are you familiar with that history, bringing this into a historically black and brown neighborhood in Tyler, Texas?
And so we did get a lot of questions. I agree, we got a lot of questions about why here. And so if we need more discussion and more conversation on that, I know that that's where we're about to head, is into the back where we can have more conversation and deeper conversation than is allowed in a format like this. But one thing is, how will this data center impact the municipalities and citizens' right to privacy based on collected data? Is there any right to privacy issues that we need to address, or?
There is no collected data on the neighborhood or anything.
So at this point, I really do. I think that the opportunity for conversation is still here, and so please utilize a conversation format. Mark and Mitch will both be in the back. So what? Okay.
Great way to piss people off.
Well, I was
Write
trying.
down the questions and then not answer them.
Okay. Hold on just a second, please. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. You know how we talked in office, because I think y'all may have been a little intimidated for some reason, but talk candidly how we spoke in the office. Just talk from the beginning to the end, and I think some of their questions may be answered.
Okay.
What kind of hardware you
Yeah, just start from the beginning and explain the system, how it works, so forth and so on, and maybe some of their questions will be answered.
Okay.
We will stay. We're all sat, we're all listening, we have the questions open. I don't understand why you guys have to go sit at the back of the room. We're going to have one-on-one.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, but we gotta do this meeting at decency and in order. This is my meeting, this is my district, and I want everybody's questions to get answered, but I do not want this to get out of hand. They are here.
Here, we have our mayor here,
For here, we have everybody here. Okay, they're gonna answer your question. If you would have a seat, please. Again, we're not gonna get out of control, or we can just, okay? They're gonna answer your question. They're gonna answer your question, so he has the mic up there. Can you let him talk? Yes, but he's not on the agenda. He's here to support this. He'll be in the back if you have questions. We have someone from the city. We have our mayor-elect here. Your questions will get answered, so please just calm down. Okay, can you proceed?
Okay. So going back kind of to the beginning, the site was picked out because the substation was next door. So in order to find a location like this, to operate the computers, you have to have power. And so they took a lot of time and a lot of effort to find a location that actually had a building for sale next to a substation that had extra power that was available. So that's how the location came to be decided on. Mark, in his part of the process, has gone to his suppliers and said, hey, I've got this location in Tyler, Texas. It's in a M1 industrial light industrial zone, and I need equipment that's going to be appropriate for this site. And so that's what they did. They went and did all the research. They picked out the equipment that's quiet. It doesn't consume water. It's closed loop. They worked with Encore and the electric company and basically said, do you have enough power here for this to operate? They said yes. They signed an agreement. And that's how everything got started, this location here in Tyler, Texas. This building or this business can operate in the middle of town somewhere or outside of an electric substation. And so those are the two main factors, is having the right zoning, a place for sale next to it, and then having the power available to operate the computers. And so from there, the city says, we feel like your business operates perfectly in the M1 zone. However, because data centers are new, we want you to go through the special use permit process. And so that's what we're doing now is we've locked in the equipment to make it appropriate for the site. We've locked in the power. And so we're in the process now of getting the permit approved. And part of that process is speaking to you guys, speaking to other city councilmen, other leaders in the community, the city, and trying to get all of our information out, get information back so that we can find a way to make it fit. And what we're trying to do is to answer all the questions that are coming up that may be problematic. Like maybe you've seen it on TV. Maybe you've seen a data center that uses millions of gallons of water, or maybe you've seen a data center that's $500 billion and, it's taking up all the resources and causing electric prices to go up and all those types of things. So we've tried to alleviate all of those things. So we've got the closed loop water system. We've prepaid for all of the electric infrastructure, and we have a sound engineer that's done all the sound to make sure that all of our pieces of this project are in line and okay for this neighborhood, for this zoning use. And so that's how we've gotten to where we are today. And I'll be here to answer as long as you guys want to ask me.
So I did try to put the questions in buckets. Because there were big groups like Mitch said, but one of the questions is, what about the warm air released by the system?
So there is warm air that is released by the system, but it goes into the atmosphere. It's not under, there's nothing that it heats up just openly up into the air.
So what are the phases of construction? What is the timeline of construction?
Sorry, before we move past that, if he can address, you said it goes into the atmosphere. That's extremely
It goes
obvious.
up, yes.
Yes. So now tell us the impact that would have, because we're worried about what is called global warming. So if there is an admittance of more heat going into the atmosphere, what will that do for Tyler weather? What will that do for the different citizens of the houses that are around that area? Be specific.
Sure. I understand the question. Thank you. So to build upon what this closed loop system is, there's distilled water that goes through the computers along a heat exchanger that touches the chips of the computers. From there, it goes into a dry cooler. And think of the dry cooler like a bunch of little capillary tubes that go through. On top, there are fans. There's a total of, I believe it's 22 fans per container with 4 total containers, so 88 fans in total. So it will just take in ambient air and pull it upwards. The heat at which it comes out at, it's, if I'm not mistaken, about 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's less than that of a fire. It's less than that of most industrial processes. It's well below boiling temperature of the liquid as well. So it will be a total square footage of 4 40 by 8 containers that will be pushing hot air out at roughly 160 degrees Fahrenheit.
But how can y'all guarantee that it's ambient air? I mean, even the closed loop systems, y'all have to bleed those lines. So we're worried about forever chemicals, things that are getting bled out. Our children are breathing in this air. So is there any oversight? This is solid infrastructure, right? So we had safe levels of lead 30 years ago. So in 20 years, when we find out that maybe this isn't safe and we do have forever chemicals that are being released into our air, what are y'all going to do? Where's the oversight? Who's going to monitor and report it to us?
So it is just ambient air that's being brought through the system in the same way that a car radiator works. So once you're driving on the highway, the car radiator pulls in air that's outside, pushes it through and cools down the liquids that go through your car. It works on a similar type of concept. If the question is with respect to the chemicals, So the liquid that's utilized as the within the closed loop, it's distilled water mixed with propylene glycol, I believe about 10%. And with that, in case of any leaks, there is a like a containment box around it. So it doesn't go into the dirt, doesn't go into the ground, it will be caught.
And then what happens?
Where's it go?
In that situation, if that does come up, then it would be pumped into totes and disposed of properly.
Where?
No. So there are, I apologize, I don't know the exact name of the company, but there are specific companies.
Oh, you gotta know. If you gotta know this, you gotta know. You gotta know.
You were talking about accountability.
So what are, Mitch, what are the phases of construction and what is the timeline of construction?
Well, the first part of construction will be getting everything engineered. So it'll be electrical engineered plans put together, and then there'll be civil engineered plans put together. Once the plans are in place, the construction would start, I would guess maybe 3 to 6 months, just depending on how everything went, how everything lined up. So, I mean, it's a fairly short, quick time period once everything's engineered.
Is this data center gonna grow? Is it gonna gobble up more blocks?
No, this is it. It's 8 containers, 4 of them hold computers, 4 of them have fans that do the cooling. And the material Mark was talking about going in is propylene glycol, which is an antifreeze. And there is a ethylene glycol, which is what you normally use in your car, propylene glycol. If you look it up, I mean, it's almost a food safe product. I mean, it's got some safety regulations. So, look that up if you're concerned about propylene glycol. It's just a coolant. It keeps it from rusting. It's biodegradable. I mean, it's lots of information about it.
And so how does this facility, and I'm not sure what Toller is, but how does this facility compare to Toller? And is there a sound wall / lighting shield?
We don't think, based on the sound study that came in, the noise from this facility is going to be less than the ambient noise in the neighborhood. So we don't think there's going to be a need for an acoustic. If there is, we're willing to do it. So if I'm already below ambient sound for the neighborhood, there's no reason to spend that money on a fence. But if it's needed, we will do it, and we will have that as a condition of the project.
But this is a constant noise. It's not like a truck going by or a jet plane going overhead. It's a constant.
Not necessarily. The fans are variable speed fans, and they range from 10% up to 100%, and they come on based on the temperature. So if you look at East Texas temperature, the way they kind of rate it, like the hottest time of the year versus the coldest, there's the fans will be at full speed 3% of the time, which would mostly be in the day, in the summer, at the hottest temperature. And so when the night comes, things cool down, the variable speeds of the fans slow down. Winter, spring, fall, those temperatures are lower, so the fans are coming down. So the variable speed on the fans are going to make it not so that it's a constant noise all the time.
We don't want the noise at all. We don't
Well,
want the noise. We want to sleep.
That's what we're saying, is the sound from our facility is less than the ambient noise in the neighborhood.
So one facility makes all of the ambient noise of one neighborhood in one little spot, so that you're adding on your output. I was not good at science, I was just asking for clarification.
I'm sorry, what was it?
So my understanding is that the one facility makes all of the sound of one whole neighborhood in one spot, is what you're saying.
No, there's an ambient noise all over everywhere. Even if you walk outside here and you had a decibel meter, you would get decibel readings. And so if you just imagine the normal nighttime decibel readings for this area, it's 45. And what we did is we had an acoustic engineer out of Houston come up and place his equipment on the property for 48 hours. And he measured the trains, he measured the ambient noise, all the different things that came in. And that ambient noise range, as far as the decibels, as a way to measure it, is 45 decibels. The acoustic engineer in his study determined that the noise from these fans operating at full speed at the nearest house, 230 feet away, is 35 decibels, 10 decibels below the neighborhood decibel that you would just normally hear if you were outside.
And there are, the poster boards back there also illustrate this, and so we can have more deeper conversation with the poster board and kind of walk through some of these more detailed questions as well.
Yeah.
So another question that came in is back to the water, where does the distilled water come from?
So that distilled water will be ordered through totes. Okay, it started working. So it will be brought in via totes, and the totes will be taken out. And when operations are completed, all at the end, that water will then be drained into totes and then also taken away as well.
So where does
So
that
the water-
come from? Yeah,
It come from a water plant?
It's just distilled water that you purchase to fill the machine.
And water has to come from the source, and we want to know where that water that's being distilled is being brought in from.
Well, that amount of water for the total project is less than that of half of a normal swimming pool.
And where, if it's not flavored water, and I know it's distilled, but distilled water still has to come from somewhere. If I go to work today and I bring my bottled water from home, I have brought a bottled water that I took from my home to work. So where's the water that y'all are bringing from? Oh, thank you for letting me know how it's delivered, but I want to know from where.
So it would be, there's various distributors of it similar to Poland Springs or anything like that that do sell distilled water.
Yeah, I'm reading these cards word for word. So how many permanent jobs and what is the pay rate? And, well, yeah, is it a union job? Yeah, a lot of these cards have the same questions, but I'll go through and ask every single one. So. Is it a union job? That's what they asked. How many jobs and what's the pay rate and is it a union job?
Ideally, it would be, new engineers that are coming up. So it wouldn't necessarily be the union that, has been here forever. Our intention is to hire, a good amount of interns and to teach them the way of the future.
So, can you? Yeah.
Do you know what the rate is?
Yeah, so generally at our previous locations, the pay rate, it does range from 25 an hour to 45 an hour.
So can you describe the backup system and due to internet power outages? Describe your backup system due to internet power outages.
Yeah, so in terms of internet power outages, our intention is to have a dedicated fiber line that's coming into the facility that is paid for by us, but also the amount of internet that's utilized is comparable to that of just one house. It's a very low bandwidth type of operation. Again, not a data center that you hear of with Google or AI. I think that the upload and download speed typical for these type of operations is between 300 and 500 megabits per second, which is lower than that of which you can get for a residential application.
All right. So the next question is on the application we have Vulcan and Barrio. So who is Vulcan? Who is Barrio? And which are the speculators?
Excuse me. Back to the previous question, I submitted the card, and I think that may have been my question. You said internet outages, and it was internal outages. Say, for example, the water goes out, or say, for example, you have electrical outage internally. What do? Do you just shut down and all the data just freezes, or do you have a backup system?
It gets shut down in that situation. We do not have any kind of backup generator or backup battery.
So you won't have any service level agreements with these other corporations who are depending on their data? You just shut down, you close it
Correct.
off, you
Correct.
go home.
We call an electrician to get it repaired as quick as possible.
So you have customers, right?
Right.
And you service your customers by providing them with data, correct? Okay, so if you have an outage, you're assuming no outages, is that what you're saying?
No, we never assume no outages for us. Generally, in our previous deployments, the uptime is somewhere around 96%. That being said, we do have it in our service level agreements that we have to adhere to a certain uptime, but if it falls below that, then the customer does not pay for that.
Are you penalized?
No, ma'am.
So you do have viable customers,
Correct.
and your reliability is at 96%.
Correct.
And for that 4%, you just wait until the electrician arrives.
Correct.
All right, so what are the digital networks and secure digital record-keeping systems that the data center's computers are supporting? What kinds of networks and records are these?
So these would be for crypto mining operations. So this would be under various algorithms such as SHA-256, Script, and Equihash. Yeah, I believe we jumped over one question. Do you mind rereading it, the one that was right before?
Oh, who is Vulcan and who is Vario? Yes.
And which one's the speculator?
And which one is the speculator?
Do you mind if I ask, what do you mean by which one is a speculator? Sure. So Vario is the owner of the land. Vulcan is the operator that would be leasing the land.
How will this affect local electricity bills to the people? Why did y'all place this at North Tyler? Why not South Tyler? How will it affect the water bills? And how will it benefit North Tyler? Will the facility be tapping into the same electrical grid that we use?
So all of North Load Zone is under the same electricity grid, and furthermore, all of ERCOT is under the same electricity grid. We're not pulling any electricity that is reserved for residential or even commercial locations, which is at 208 volts or 480 volts. All the electricity that we will be pulling, it's at 12,500 volts, which is not utilized by virtually anyone outside of applications such as this. 12 megawatts.
And before she asks the next question, I just want to be clear. I'm not for nor against this facility. This meeting is for you, but I just want it to be done in decency and in order. That's all. That's why we're doing the cards, because it'll get out of control. There's too many people in here. So just to be clear, I'm not for nor against this facility.
Does this support or help the citizens of Tyler get their American dream? For how many people?
No, I don't think that the answer is 10. I do think that the number is much higher than that, because there's something to be said for new industry. It's inspiring, it's motivational, it should be. From my point of view, I mean, you guys can take a look at me, not hiding it, I am on the younger side. And one of the huge advantages that I've had in my life is to see how my father built his business from the ground up. I'm not in the same business as him. I don't work for him. I do help out here and there as much as I can. but he inspired me to build something for myself. And I think that really goes to show that if someone like me can do this, then it's possible. But you need the resources to be able to learn how to do it. And the only way to do that is through hands-on experience to do it with us, which we're happy to do so.
What does this facility produce? What is the real world utility of Bitcoin?
So the real world utility of something like Bitcoin, think about it, this is how I think about it, that anything is only worth as much as someone thinks that it is, right? The American dollar is only worth as much as people believe it is. The euro is only worth as much as people believe it is. And the same thing goes for cryptocurrencies. There's utilization of it in many different fronts. The United States has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. El Salvador does as well. There is something to it.
You know, Bitcoin is priced at 66,500 right now. Yeah, so, you know, like, so the Bitcoin data processing center, I don't see how it could help East Texas and most of us couldn't afford that if we pull our money together. That's one Bitcoin.
Correct, but similar with something along the lines of gold, right? There's gold bars. Correct. So a gold bar, or I know this much, that 1 kilogram of gold is worth somewhere around, and someone may have to correct me on this, but about 120,000.
Gold is actually formed in the atmosphere and is only found whenever it meteors hits the Earth billions of years ago. It's not formed naturally on Earth. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just saying,
So the next question is, will the current building be destroyed and a new foundation put in place? Will the facility be the same size?
Yeah, the facility is the same size. We're going to dress up the building as you see in these renderings. So they're going to be dressed up like you see in these renderings and be used for office and maintenance and things like that. Okay, there we go. So the building's going to look like this when we're done, and the building itself is going to be used for office space, maintenance, things like that. So the actual part of the project we're talking about tonight is going to be on the vacant land next door. There's going to be 8 containers, 4 of them hold computers and 4 of them hold cooling equipment. The building will be used for offices, but it'll look like this when we're finished.
But prettier with flowers and shrubbery.
So we talked a little bit about Bitcoin mining, but is that the only function of this facility? Will it be used for other purposes like AI bots or military technologies?
No. Yes.
All right. Hood County put in one of these facilities, and the residents complain of constant noise, despite the efforts of the facility to mitigate the noise. How can you guarantee 35 decibels? And how is your process different? I think we've talked about this, but this was another question about Hood County specifically.
We don't know 100% what they're using for their equipment, so I can't compare it exactly. I can just say this was designed from the ground up to do what we've talked about it doing. So the fans are designed to be broadband. The computers themselves are water cooled, so there's no fans on the computers. These are just cooling fans on the equipment that pull air out of the system. We hired an independent acoustic engineer out of Houston with 40 plus years experience, doing lots of manufacturing and oil field sound work. And the reason we did it and the reason we spent the money was so that we could tell you with confidence what the sound profile is going to be. And we're saying, based on his report and his conclusions, that the sound from this system is going to be lower than the ambient noise in the neighborhood at the closest house.
So who is going to hold Vulcan accountable?
We fall under all the city guidelines. So, I mean, if there's some violation that we're doing, the city will hold us accountable. We're not asking for any type of abatement or any type of special treatment in any area. It includes sound, it includes electricity, it includes emissions, it includes hazardous materials. And like I mentioned earlier, we've covered all of this in our application, and we've let the city know what we're doing so that they can hold us accountable. I sent it was about 15 different items that they would have to hold us accountable to do what we say we're going to do. And we're 100% okay with that. They're here today, and that's why we feel like doing a center like this inside the city limits is better than doing it outside the city limits, because it is regulated. They can hold us accountable. We can't sit up here and tell you something that's not true and not expect to get held to account for it. There's a lot of money, a lot of time gone into doing it, and I know Mark's not going to want to come in here and spend all this money just to have complaints or just to have problems come up for the city or the neighbors, especially since he's moving here and going to be a neighbor. So every effort has been taken. Do what? I don't know where he's going to live. He's moving to Tyler. So I'm just.
All right. So you talked about the investment. How much is this project costing? I think we've already answered the second one. What tax incentives are you getting? And what is the electrical company paying you during heavy load season?
So there's a couple of different aspects to the question, but the entire project is estimated to cost somewhere between 12 and 15 million, depending on the choice of equipment that's utilized. That's including all of the computers, it's including all of the infrastructure, and that's including all of the engineering and labor. What was the next one?
Are you getting any tax incentives?
No.
And the last one?
How much are you getting? How much is the electrical company paying you during heavy load season?
During heavy load season, I believe that would be referring to the months of June, July, August, and September. So we don't get paid directly by the utility company. What we do is we participate in various programs that allow for a more flatlined electricity cost for us. So during periods of peak demand, the utility does call on us to turn off our systems, which we abide by, and that's more so to flatten our electricity costs.
So why are you using water to cool? You could use mineral oil.
So that's a very good question. Mineral oil is a dielectric fluid, which means that it doesn't conduct electricity. And we talked about this subject of water-cooled systems, and there's two different ways of going about it. One is water-cooled, where there's water that's rotated through the system and upon a heat exchanger to the chips themselves to cool them down. And that requires what we're utilizing, the distilled water mixed with propylene glycol. What mineral oil is really good at doing is you can submerge full electrical components into the mineral oil and utilize much more of it as opposed to small capillaries that go to the chips themselves onto a heat exchanger.
So staying in tune with the power discussion, in the event of a power outage, will the center receive power before the residents, as often happens in Tyler?
Often.
There are different distribution networks. So again, the residents and commercial parts of Tyler, they utilize 208 volt or 480 volt. The data center utilizes 12,500 volts. They're on two different systems.
So will the residents get their power restored before you?
The priority is always, from my understanding, these two systems, they're independent of each other. But Encore would take preference in helping more people than us first.
And so maybe talk about ERCOT. I mean, how they, in grid situations where it gets rough, I mean, ERCOT comes in and it's an automatic shutdown, which preserves power for the community over these businesses, and he participates in that with ERCOT.
Correct. That's actually a really good point. In the event that, these two separate systems and the residential and commercial side is cut off, then we would actually get called to shut everything down, and we would be fined heavily if we don't.
All right, so I think we already answered this, but I will read it verbatim. Closed loop systems must discharge, and that water has chemicals, including forever chemicals that are known carcinogens. How will you discharge? Who will be responsible for the class action suits resulting from the carcinogens dumped in our water?
So a closed loop system means that there is no discharge. The only discharge would be the hot air that comes out that goes up through the top. For example, if you've ever built a home computer and you use liquid cooling, there is a closed loop within that, and you never have to add to it, you never have to subtract the water from it, there's nothing that comes out of it.
Mine overheats all the time. How can we be?
Do you need a car, sir? It's not.
I'm so sorry, it's on.
Thank you. Who's using the car? Thank you.
Will this devalue our neighborhood and property value? Excuse me. Will this devalue our neighborhood and property values?
The reason why we wanted to make renderings is to show you what it would look like. We do want, aesthetic is very, very important to us. It needs to look proper. That's why we want to take what's there currently, fix it up, make it look pretty, make it silent. It is money going into the community and into something to increase the aesthetic appeal as well.
So if it won't require water, big trucks, or other harms now, what prevents it from being used that way in the future when another company buys the facility outright?
So these are purpose-built facilities for one sole purpose, to change that. This is the reason why we're going through this special use permit process, because we want to have this design, these specifications be what's allowed. Any deviations from it would be subject to going through, a new permitting process.
So if the facility explodes, will toxic chemicals affect us?
No, the only thing that's used as a quote-unquote chemical is the distilled water mixed with propylene glycol. And with that, there are the catch basins for if it were to spill.
Can I ask a quick question?
So if this is approved, will your facility limit the growth or expansion of businesses nearby?
I think we need a car.
So I already put in a car. I put in a car, but you didn't answer my question. My question was about devaluing our neighborhood and the value of our homes. And I'm not talking about the aesthetic of the building. I'm talking about when I get ready to sell my home, will the next person not want to buy my house because of that?
I don't believe so. So here, there would be no negative effects from this center to any of the surrounding homes. That's why we went and did the acoustic sound study, because that was one of our biggest concerns.
We don't know.
So if this is approved, will your facility limit the growth or expansion of businesses nearby?
There will be no additional growth. What we build that's it. We can't build anymore.
And so the neighboring businesses could expand or grow just as well as they could right now. I want to be direct in the answer.
Correct.
How does the size of this data center compare to other data centers in Texas?
The size of this one is drastically smaller than any other, or than most other data centers within Texas. The total square footprint of this piece of land, it's about 1.8 acres. And there's currently a 8,100 square foot building that's on that location as well. So the total footprint will be 8 containers that are 40 foot by about 8 feet.
Do you plan to participate in the ancillary services market or engage in energy sales? Those cost tens of thousands.
That is a very good question. So in terms of energy sales, we have invited our energy broker here as well for more technical discussions. But I believe what you're referring to is what you can do is block pricing where we fixate the cost of price. And then if we utilize that power, then it's at said price. If we don't utilize that power, then it's sold back into the grid. That is not what we plan on doing. And in terms of the ancillaries, so there are a couple of demand response programs, such as frequency response and others. So we only plan on participating in what's called ERS, emergency response. So that's in situations where the grid is at a high congestion rate to shut down during those periods of high congestion.
Where, let's see, did you already get a local development agreement for taking advantage of state sales?
There's currently no agreements in place. Currently, we're still in the permitting process.
So not yet, or is that a complete
What is it referring to exactly?
There's some of the data centers that getting rate, tax rate, they don't pay taxes because of this. So do you participate in that, or you're planning to participate in a local school tax exempt program?
Well, there's no abatement that we've asked for at all, and the taxes the building and the business will pay will go to the normal taxing authorities and get dispersed however they decide to do it. But there's no special treatment at all. There's no tax abatements. We're not requesting anything like that.
During the 48-hour neighborhood survey, was it a weekday or a weekend? I think that's the noise survey.
I believe they did it from a Tuesday to Thursday.
And the dates are on the sound survey on that poster board.
Yeah, and I'll be happy, anybody that has any questions afterwards, I'll be happy to talk about all the different category, things we have back there.
So this one says, and I think I can answer it, the picture you show in your advertisement show at least 5 large AC units. I think that might have been something that was created by somebody else on Facebook. The renderings that we have here are the accurate one. It's not one that was created on Facebook.
Yeah, this is it, and the containers will be behind this fence, so you most likely won't even ever see them.
Will you be using, I guess this is Bitcoin, it looks like Bitman, micro BT, and chips made in China?
Our plan currently is to utilize micro BT, and they have a manufacturing center I know it's in Arizona, I don't know the city.
What mining hardware models are you looking to use or purchase?
Currently, we're looking at the M73S Plus, the M73S, and the M63S Plus Plus.
What kind of tax income will be made available to the community when dealing with market coins? We want assurances that leaks will be paid for. Is the 45 decibels measured as a peak or is it a mean? Well, I'll wait. So we want assurances that leaks, et cetera, will be paid for.
Correct. If there are any leaks, then everything shuts down. So if we have any intention of re-energizing, the leaks have to come out of our pocket.
All right. I think that this might be a better one for a conversation. So are you comfortable with a guarantee against transferal? I mean, I don't know if the person is still here. Are you comfortable with a guarantee against transferal?
You can't sell the company, so they can do what they want.
So that would be a business decision, and I can't make that call for all of us, but it is a good question and is worth a discussion, absolutely.
I do believe that the special use permit applies to the property, and so all of the things we're saying here tonight and all the things that we've told the city are still going to be applicable no matter who is there. So nobody can come in and change it or bring in different equipment or do different sound profiles or do different chemicals or anything like that.
You have an 8,000 square foot building there, why don't you put solar on it?
The solar would be enough to cover the.
If you get a card, let me know. We just want to keep.
Yeah, so we only have this room until 7:30, and so we're going to ask as many of these questions as we can. So I'm going to keep on moving through. Does this facility bring new profits to Tyler?
There will be tax revenue to Tyler. I mean, we estimate around $550,000 in taxes, not including property taxes based on the electric usage. Tyler will get a percent of that, the state will get a percent, and the county will get a percent of that.
Will there be a second professional evaluation of the sound emissions?
No, this is an engineered, professional that'll have his stamp. I mean, he's legally bound by his information being accurate. So this is what we're doing for the sound.
What about light pollution? Has that been measured?
There are the lights that we're going to put up on the facility are going to follow city guidelines and codes, and they'll all be shielded down to the equipment. Won't be on anybody's property or anything like that. So it'll follow normal guidelines for lighting.
What is the level of cybersecurity that will be implemented for the data stored?
So that is what's all secured by the SHA-256 algorithm. There is no data that is being stored, but in terms of keeping out hackers and things like that from our local network, we do plan on utilizing redundant firewalls, redundant layer 3 switches, as well as dedicated fiber to the site.
Yeah, okay. If you have, just out of respect, she actually lives in the district. This is Mrs. Belinda Wade, and she has some questions that she wants to ask them because she, again, actually lives in the district. And then the other ones, if y'all want to stay, they'll go to the back, and the rest of the cards, we got through with over half of them. If y'all don't mind doing that, it's okay? And she'll probably answer some of your questions. If not, just stay, and they're here to answer your questions. Thank you, City Council. My questions are, there was a flyer information that was sent out that was distributed in several areas of the neighborhood today. And what I want to do is, I live in this district. I grew up in this district. And so I feel that at this particular point, if anybody receives this and they were not at the meeting, they may be deceived. Because the very last statement is simply put, this location that was already designated for industrial use and proposed operation is intended to be one of the quieter and less disruptive types of industrial development that could occur here. Now, I'm getting ready to find it, okay? And people may misunderstand, because when you read this, it sounds like it's slam dunk. Yes, I'm going to ask them some questions. Yes. So my question is, a slam dunk is, if this was really a slam dunk and you had a right to this, to put this center here, then why is it you're having to get a special use permit? Because that doesn't fit with what is already in the statute or the ordinance for Tyler, for this area. That's why I said I grew up and I know what kind of industry and what kind of businesses there are. And because it is not a regular business, why does this lead people to understand it's slam dunk and you may as well not show up? And why has there been very little talk about when this matter will go before planning and zoning. It seems like there's an attempt here to lull people that everything's all right, and evidently it's not. Otherwise, you would not have to have a special use permit. Now, let me be a little bit more specific, all right?
The planning calendar is July the 7th. It's online, it's not a secret.
When was this meeting?
Hey, put your question on the card.
I live in this area, so the city council lady who's conducting this allowed me to speak. Because most of the other people here do not live in this district.
I was talking about her.
Okay, under the Tyler's Unified Development Code materials, okay, in the code. Data center is not listed. That's why you're having to go before the Zoning and Planning Commission and get a special use permit, and the people here need to understand that. This is not slam dunk. You still have another hearing to go through, which is really the main hearing. So for me, if you're really transparent, you would have told us that. You just kind of slid that through thinking that we were not listening. You just mentioned it only because there was a question. And you were talking about transparency. So the other questions are, now, you talked about the decibel levels. Okay, now, will this facility operate 24 hours a day? Okay. What measures will be implemented to prevent light pollution affecting the nearby homes? What I mean by that, as I understand it, the lights would be facing, all of the lights would be facing the building. Is that correct? Uh-huh. Now, you know when you go to the football games and they have all the lights facing the football field, there's still a lot of light from behind, right? How are they shielded?
Well, they've just got shields on them that direct the light into a certain area, and the purpose is to not disturb neighbors.
Okay, and now, are there emergency plans in place in the event of fire, fuel leaks, or power system failures?
Oh, sure, just like any other business. I mean, if something happens, we're gonna call and get it handled. Sure.
So, are you using any kind of generators?
No generators. They tend to generate a lot of noise. It was part of the discussion. There is no backup here. So we're not bringing any fuel, no diesel, no oil cans, none of that. No generators generating noise. So it's just the equipment hooked up to the grid, and it'll run just like that.
So will there ever be anything forthcoming, since these flyers are being distributed, to correct this statement that may be misleading? Because if you just read it and don't know and haven't done any research, you will believe, oh, well, and we may not show up at the hearing.
Well, sure, if it is, can I visit with you after this and let's go over that and make sure I understand exactly what it is? So
Okay, I think it's I
know, but I want to.
We could do that.
I want to make sure. Yeah.
I do think at this particular time, though, this is misleading.
Well, and for the record, we definitely didn't say it's a cheating. We are going through the process.
Sometimes you don't have to say it. It can be done by implication. Would you agree?
That's possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam to the council lady.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So what time is it? Okay. Do y'all mind? Let me ask some of my elders up here. I'm sorry. I mean, not to be disrespectful. Did your question get answered? Where's the thing? Do you know what it was? Okay. Where's the card with the purple writing? Can you record it for her, please? Can you record it for her? Laura, where's the card with the purple writing? Can you record it?
Hey, earlier you said you don't collect data, right?
We don't collect data.
Why is it called that AI data center?
It's not called an AI data center.
It's data processing.
It's not part of Agenda 2030 yet. We're trying to implement. ideas.
Sir, we have a format that we're answering questions. Do you need a card?
These robots this past week, right?
Sir,
Why
sir,
is your company called?
Sir.
After about 5?
sir. If they don't have a card, we're not answering questions. I intentionally said that I do not want security here because I felt like the community could act appropriately. But sir, I'm gonna ask you to leave.
In the beginning, artificial intelligence was created. At the end, artificial intelligence will be created. Jesus Christ is coming, I'm telling you.
Do you mind,
Agenda
sir?
ID is the 666, I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just letting you know.
Are you done?
I have the right to talk.
You have a right to come when we allow you to speak. We have a format. We have a format here.
Yes, ma'am. Take it. Pardon for the
Okay,
interruption.
go ahead. I don't see a couple cards. I don't see a couple cards. Okay, here it is. Let me see if I can read. Google says, data centers impose significant environmental, economic, and social costs in local communities. Here, maybe you can read this. I can't, I'm sorry.
Outweighing their promised benefits, including the risk to marginalized communities adversely impacting these neighborhoods. Why should we believe you are any different? Why not in South Tyler? And who regulates these data centers?
And so the reason for this location is the substation next door and the fact that the building was for sale and we had access to power. Like, if you were to try to set this anywhere else other than next to a substation, you wouldn't be able to get the power to operate the computers. And the building was in M1 light industrial zoning, so it fit the proper zoning for the city. That's the zoning. With the special use permit required, it is required.
Your company doesn't fit within the zone, that's why you have to do this.
One of the reasons for that also, keep in mind, is that 10, 15, 20 years ago, this industry, it didn't exist, right? And as new industries come about, new rules and regulations need to be written for them. And that's why we want to be part of the conversation for how industries similar to ours are ruled and regulated.
This explains, this is all, you may have, this is already an industrial, it's M1 already, but you do have to apply, again, like you said,
Yeah.
it's just use permit.
It's M1 industrial, which applies to this type of business. It is unique in that it's a data center. There isn't one in the city limits, and so we're doing a special use permit through the city.
But it sounds like nobody really wants to.
Well, we're trying to give information on why it would fit, and that's part of the process. Is there a reason? Is there a reason you don't like it?
I'm gonna explain myself, but I just don't want it. Better off just being behind and joining everybody else who has money. I just don't want it. Being sitting in the chair once you can ring the crowd.
Nobody in the community wants it. And then the zoning is like, this is city, this is they're going up, it just comes anyway, and if nobody around it wants it, does the community have any say in this?
No, it doesn't, and the community has say. I mean, that's part of the process, part of why we're here, why we're talking about it, why we've done all the preliminary work to make sure that it's not disturbing anybody, that it's not intrusive. What?
Well, it's Chris hold any of us, it's just making you rich.
All right, I'll go through these that have been asked, trying to get them in order. What happens when Bitcoin goes bust?
If Bitcoin goes bust, then quite frankly, we're liable for all the expenses that are associated with this. We're not taking on any debt to pay for these operations. These are private investments that, quite frankly, if Bitcoin goes bust, then to be blunt, SOL for me, yeah.
What is your plan to mitigate the carbon offset from the reconstruction and a 160-degree heat dome? What is the radius of the heat dome?
So this is just heat going up similar to, I mean, drastically.
There's clouds per se.
But 160 degrees is enough to generate a heat dome.
Correct, but if you think about most other industrial processes, they generally work at 500 to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a drop in the bucket. Your air that you excel out is at roughly 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
What the neighborhood wants
So what promise is there that this won't later be scaled, just like the proposed Bitcoin mining facility in Abilene that is near a hyperscale Stargate AI data center?
The substation itself is limited, and because of that, we can't get any access to more power. Plus, the physical footprint of where we're located doesn't allow for any expansion beyond what it is that we're looking to do.
What happens if the building catches on fire? Have we already given them? We've got multiple questions. What's different about your data center compared to Google data centers?
Google data centers are forced to stay online due to the way the technology works. The graphics cards that are utilized for their data processing, they're not a flexible load. You can't really turn them off. So because of that, they have backup batteries, backup generators, redundant inputs of power. For us, we don't have any of that. It's much more bare bones.
You haven't answered what this does for us. Sounds like it's just to make you money.
Again, I want to be very candid here. For me, something like this opportunity, it stems from motivation that I gathered as a child. It stems from learning that I've done at university. It stems from, looking up to others and thinking to myself, man, I want to do that one day. I want to learn about it. How do I learn about it? I had the great advantage of learning from my father that I was able to build a business from the ground up. I want to allow for new opportunities to be learned about and to be expanded on.
That's not your question. That's not your question.
No, it was to build something real. It's to build something legitimate. It's to inspire others. It's to work as a community. It's to teach engineering.
So what about construction noise? If you are burying the line, how do you plan to go safely under the railroad?
What does this do?
Okay, they want to know specifically, hold on, Nancy, I got you. I think they want to know that you want to come into their community. What are you going to offer the community? You touched on it earlier about scholarship opportunities or internships. Can you just go over that again, please?
Sure. So we do absolutely want to do internship opportunities, but one of the reasons that we're here today is to learn from you as to what do you want from us? Do you have suggestions? Is there something specific that comes to mind? We want to learn from you, and we can't do that without having discussions such as this. Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do plan on having some sort of suggestion box or something along
Yes,
those lines.
so
Correct.
if y'all have ideas about what the community, how the business can partner with the community, then definitely provide those on the cards.
And Mitch, we talked about that, remember?
Yes, that is.
Yeah. So we did, when I met with them, we did speak about that specifically, that you want to come into the community, what can you offer the community? And that's when they talked about the internships and I forgot what else it was, but that's what they're talking about. They want to know what you're going to offer the community.
Yeah, so that's one of the main things is internships and hiring locally. And I thought it was a great idea that that was brought up on a suggestion box. If there's something you guys think would help the community, something that we can do, something that can hold us accountable, we're happy to listen and take a look and see what that may be.
All right, so what about construction noise? If you are burying the line, how how do you plan to go safely under the railroad?
So the electric work's already completed, it's already done and on site, so there is no more construction for that. The rest of it will be just pouring some concrete slabs for the equipment and doing a little remodel inside the building, which we're expecting maybe three months to 6 months, depending on how it all lines up. So it'll just be normal construction for a couple months. And then after that, it's done. There is no more traffic. There's no manufacturing. There's no trucks coming in and out. There's a couple of people a day coming in, and that's the extent of the activity on the site.
All right, so we've heard that folks do want to go back and have discussions back in the back. And so at this point, you may go and have that discussion. And so we want to make sure and honor everybody's requests. So that's what we can do. So let's go on back to the back.
You asked a question about marginalized communities in our neighborhood. I just told you that I asked a question about law enforcement and y'all didn't answer it.
Okay, well, there are some people who want to go and have a conversation in the back, so we can talk about it.
About how they're impacted by local law enforcement presence in my
Can you talk?
Just answer that question for her, please. I will shut up.
No, we do welcome the questions.
Law enforcement, increase law enforcement. Extra security or law enforcement.
There is none.
So let's go on to some further conversation. Some folks want to know me back.
Okay.
That being said, we do thank everyone for their time here. We're happy to continue discussions. I truly do appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you openly and candidly here.
Is there anybody here that actually wants them here? No. Nobody wants them. No. I didn't think so. We gotta go. Nice guy.
Yeah? Yeah.
Turned off the bottom. The bottom.
Okay, there it is. Okay, does anybody, are y'all satisfied with the questions that were answered? No? So if you're not, my email, I'm gonna give you my email and my phone number. And I promise you, I will get your questions answered, but they can't stay here all night. The building is not ours. They're leasing or renting the building out for a certain amount of time. So phawkins@tylertexas.com, or you can go to the cityoftyler.org and find my contact information. My phone number is 903, if you still have your pen and paper, 245-2592. This matter goes before, it's on the agenda for July the 7th for planning and zoning. But I wanted to do this prior to it going to P&Z, so you have your opportunity to ask questions. So if you're not satisfied, just email me and I'll get the questions to them, because we can't be here all night, unfortunately. But I do thank you for coming out. We had a good showing. I'm sorry if your question didn't get answered, but again, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
¿Necesitas carro hoy, pero el crédito te detiene? En Méndez Auto Sales te ayudamos. Compra aquí y paga aquí con aprobaciones fáciles, pagos accesibles y carros listos para manejar hoy mismo. 2022 East Gentry Parkway en Tyler o llama al 903-597-4314. Méndez Auto Sales. Buenos carros, buena gente y financiamiento fácil.
Thanks, sir.
So a lot of people just don't have like
Make your next event unforgettable with Ruby's Mexican Restaurant Catering. Our fully staffed food truck brings the flavor to you, serving our famous doblados or any meal you choose. We offer a complete catering lineup perfect for corporate events, weddings, and holiday parties. Book today at events@rubysfoodtruck.com or call 903-871-7829, option 0. Ruby's, authentic flavor, catered your way.